Draw, luckily, just. I don't know how it was a draw. How do you assess that?
I'll take the point. We didn't deserve it. There's no way we deserved that. First half, it was a mess from every point of view. I think Marcus Rashford in particular, what's the point? There's 75,000 people in the stand who run more than him, and it's embarrassing. But what I love is Ralph Rangnick at half time. There's a big problem, and everyone's seen it in Reece James having so much space every time he's anyone at the ball. Ralph Rangnick's come into this game with a plan to deal with that. Obviously, they've spent hours and hours looking at the footage of how Chelsea play. They know they play with wing backs. They know they're going to get space. They know they're going to get time. He's had a plan to deal with that, and Marcus Rashford's not carried that out. Ralph Rangnick hasn't said at half time, right, we need to rethink it. What he said at half time is, I'm not trusting you, Marcus. You're not doing your job. You're not running. We'll swap the wingers. My plan will work if you go and carry it out. So he said, the problem is you, Marcus. And he's had to go in, because he come out in the second half, he started running back a bit more. But even then in the second half, as Marcel's just said, Alonso's the goal scorer because Rashford hasn't tracked him. But fair play to Ralph, he's sort of stuck to his plan. Obviously at the end he had to put an extra centre back on, had to change the back
giving
five.
in again. Yeah. How many times has he had to do that with his squad? Oh, I'm going to play 4-2-2. Oh, can't do that. Oh, I want Rashford to play. Oh, can't do that. He tries, and he ends up having to throw the towel in.
It's a bad pattern, and it's a problem of players not having enough energy, not enough motivation, not enough work rate. It's also a problem of players being bad. Tellez individually is not good enough, and if you're not good enough individually defensively, other players have got to come closer to you, and all of a sudden if that happens, everyone gets dragged in the space on the far side. It was really, really bad. In the first half in particular, Mason Mount was sitting in between Tellez and Varane.
He was causing all problems.
He was causing so many problems, but the game plan from Ralph probably wasn't right in the start, because he had the extra man Matic in midfield, but the space wasn't there. Chelsea didn't have an extra man there, so that spare man was covering nothing for most of the time. Tellez didn't know what to do because Mount was between him and Varane. Matic was doing nothing. Every time someone dropped in, Matic was in the wrong place, and he was somehow trying to get out to the wings for Reece James and Alonso when they got the ball, but he was getting there 5 minutes too late because he's covering half the pitch every time. It did not work. Tellez was exposed, yeah, but individually he's awful. It's all right, you can leave players to get exposed 1v1 if they're good, but when they're crap like Tellez, it's what are you supposed to do?
Tellez looked like he was hung out to dry, like he was on toast every time. I'm looking at it and I'm like, but I did see it as he needs help. You know, what was happening was Rashford was pushing on an Azpilicueta, and Azpilicueta wasn't bombing on, and then saying to Reece James, right, off you go, and then Tellez is saying, well, I've got Havertz just inside or Werner, whichever the striker is, let me come across, and then he's got two on him every time, and then you add Mason Mount into that. It was just sheer panic, that whole left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the plan with Rashford in terms of him tracking back with Reece James was that what he was thinking in his head probably was that if he tracks back with Reece James, that ball will go back to Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta drives out with the ball, and eventually at some point Rashford's got to jump and commit, otherwise he'll just walk through the entire team. So Rashford was probably thinking, I can get away with being a bit lazy here. If I just mark Azpilicueta, he can't do that. But the thing is, you can't do that. You can't then just leave Reece James free. You've got to mark Reece James first. If Azpilicueta gets the ball, then you go and make that decision. You can't just ignore Reece James.
He was cheating.
He was cheating. It's laziness. It's cheating, as you said. Like it just shows that this lot don't care. It's horrific. Anthony Elanga, I think it was the Liverpool game. Ralph Rangnick came out after the game, and he was talking about how Elanga, for the first 65 minutes, he won pretty much every ball down that side. And all he said about Rashford was, so he said Elanga's won every ball, and then Rashford came on for the last 20 minutes. He didn't say it, but we all knew what he was saying. I can sort of accept Rashford, you know, things aren't working out on the ball, but when the effort's not there off the ball, it's embarrassing.
What did you make of in midfield? I mean, McTominay, he gives energy, he runs around, he's going to try and kick people, and he does wear his heart on his sleeve, I get that. But what did you make of his performance today in terms of quality?
There's no quality there. I think in the second half, it was from as soon as the second half kicked off to the 84th minute, he did not complete one pass. That's horrific. Him and Bruno, their job, to be fair, when Chelsea were building out from the back, they were supposed to get really tight and really high on Jorginho and Kante. And they did a lot of the time. But then all it took was a little bit of clever movement from one of the two of them, and they didn't bother tracking them back afterwards. McTominay in particular, to be fair, since he's come back from injury, he's been horrible. On the ball, awful. So bad. And when he's not turning around, when he's not
caught on the ball as well. Like, he wants to take it.
Kante caught him so many times. I don't get it. I think it's just, he's come back from injury. He doesn't look like he's ready. He's not sharp yet, because there's no one else he's got to play. And it didn't help that today those two were playing so high. Matic was 20 yards further back. There was a massive gap. It was difficult for them, but quality-wise, it's embarrassing.
One person who did show quality in the one bit of moment that we had was Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, he just keeps doing it, Cam, doesn't he?
I've criticised him earlier in the season because he hasn't been working hard at times. But 1 game a week, if you manage his minutes, he's been brilliant. Pretty much every time he's had 1 game a week, he's come out, he's given a shift.
Link-up play's been good. The way you can, there's times where we're under pressure, outside of the boot, just caresses the ball, rolls it to someone, they end up losing it. But he does, every moment of play he's had, the link-up play, looking after the ball, and then the decisive moments in terms of you're going to get 1 chance there against Chelsea. The whole team's going to get 1 chance. Can you take it for us? Of course he can.
Yes, he did, yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing with the quality players. The best players on the pitch today didn't really do anything flashy, apart from probably the goal for Ronaldo. The best players on the pitch make the 5 and 10 yard passes every time. Spot on. Perfect way to pass, perfect direction, their touch is spot on, it's perfect. They can take the ball on both feet. You look at Jorginho, Kante, Ronaldo, Reece James, every time they do the basics right. They don't do anything too flashy, it's the basics right, and half the team can't do that. Half of them can't make a 5 yard pass in front of a player. If a player's making a run, you don't pass it to where they were, you pass it to where they're going, and half of this lot don't get it. Rashford. I'm going to stop on Rashford. I got it in a bit.
I know, but it is frustrating. You don't want to just alienate one player, but we can only call what we saw, and we saw a young kid in Elanga who's trying to do the basics right, take a touch, getting rid of it, making runs in behind, trying, went on a great run, got Rudiger booked, didn't he, I think? I know Mata got him booked, but he went on a run, probably should have got Rudiger booked. Just having an impact. Yeah. And then you're seeing a seasoned pro now, let's forget the young thing with Rashford, he's not young anymore. In football terms, he's a very experienced player who's just going through it, and he just can't get any quality. Needs the summer. He just needs it to be the end of the season.
Just send him on holiday now. Give any of the youth players, just put him in the team, or just give Mata a game. He's been our best player. Well, one of our best
players. Every time he comes on, he looks all right.
Yeah, it's the simple things though. He's not doing anything fancy. He's doing the simple things and getting them right. Even those he had a header that he knocked down.
Yeah.
He's 5'5" or something, and his headers are perfect to the right place. It's just the basic stuff, and no one else can do it. I don't understand, to be honest, how Mata's not getting a game over McTominay at the minute. I know he's a more attacking player, but defensively he's putting a better shift in as well.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to say, I've criticised him enough, but David De Gea today, fantastic.
Cam, I'm not going to say I don't need to say any of that, but at least you brought it up off your own accord.
Yeah, no, you've got to give credit where it's due, but it's the perfect game for him when we're sat back, defending deep. He's having a lot of shots, but hopefully
Distribution looked all right. A couple of little clipped passes. Wasn't amazing, but he just didn't kick it out of play all the time. He was all right. But the main thing, he'd done his job. He saved shots.
Yeah, he saved shots, but hopefully at some point we've got a team that don't face 20 shots a game.
But do you see what I mean, though, in terms of Ten Hag's got so much to fix next year.
Yeah.
You take him out now in the first year, we're in trouble. Yeah. It's the same as what I think if you take Ronaldo out, because Ten Hag needs something to say, well, I know he's going to get me 20 goals, and I know he's going to save X amount of shots. I'll work with the rest for 1 year at least.
I think for the first year, what he's got to do with Ronaldo, you've got to say, play 1 game a week, 90 minutes, no more than that. You get your 90 minutes, you can maybe let him pick which game he plays out of the week. But 90 minutes, give the performance, give everything. Yeah. Do what he did today, where if you need to go and play left back to help the team, you do it. If you need to sprint 40 yards back, he's doing it. When he was playing 2 games a week, not so much. But 1 game a week, he's doing it brilliantly. David De Gea, look, we know next season we're going to make so many mistakes building out from the back. It will happen. It always does. It happened for Pep in his first season. When that happens, guaranteed shot on goal, you need someone that's going to save it. So I can see, look, he's not the biggest problem. May as well let him see out his contract, but he eventually does need to be replaced.
I like that. That's. Why didn't you say that the other day? And lastly, who was your man of the match?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Easy.